cards to come to this one. It's really wonderful to see you all. I saw a movie about a week and a half ago, and it was called The Time Bandits. It's playing down the street. And I had no idea what it was going to be about when I walked into the theater. It was just this crazy movie about these little munchkins running around, and they were like God's partners, and they had this map of God's map with them, and on this map there was this. By reading this map, they could find where the ultimate object was, and that's what they were looking for, the ultimate object. And they figured they deserved it because they were this. They had made like the trees and the bushes and the pebbles and leaves and things, and like God had made the big things like people and the sun and the moon, and they were like his helpers. So they just made these little things. So they felt like they never got any credit. So they stole his map from him, and they were going to go and get this ultimate object that they thought they deserved. And I fell asleep about a half hour before the movie was over in the theater. So I don't know whether they really ever found it. But there was a nice analogy there anyway, because that's kind of, they were playing around with time. They went back to Robin Hood and all these, went back, and they were just able to like go to this wall and go into another time-space realm. So, they always had their map with them, looking for this ultimate object. And so they had this materialistic object that I think that they wanted something material, and we kind of have passed all that. We're not that materialistic as we're Zen students, but we still have this idea that maybe there is this ultimate object. I think that it's kind of hard to let go of that one, and so New Year is a really wonderful time to realize that it's right in front of you, that you don't have to go through be attached to time and go through all these different realms to find it, or different mental realms that we think that we might need to search through. So all we need to do is to look right in front of us, and that ultimate object is right there. I know last time I gave a talk at a ceremony, Sahn, he was kind of my hero, and he was doing his cucumber and kochichan fast. The last time I gave a talk, I kind of talked about how that impressed me. And now he's doing this bowing retreat, and so every day he's doing, sometimes, 600, I don't know if he's done more than 600 a day lately, but he's been doing like 600 bows a day. And, I keep seeing him go down the hall into the Dharma, and I can see him through the windows bowing, and it's like he already has this ultimate object, but he's not finished, Anytime he's doing something, bowing, trying. And so we have to, renew ourselves every day and get this tri-mind over and over and over again, and realize our potential and how much we can, help each other and, help everybody. So I hope that we keep getting together every year and renewing that effort mind and helping each other. Thank you for coming today.
I think the point of starting a new year on January 1st seems somewhat arbitrary. It could have been any date of the year. But for whatever reason, that's done. This year, this particular date marked a rather clear line of demarcation for our center in Toronto. A little bit of practice and also in personnel. We're just starting to introduce some new practice elements, because we just started 4 years ago. And for example, a few weeks back for Buddhist Enlightenment Day, we decided for the first time to do an all-night sitting. From midnight, we vows and go right through the morning practice and finish at 7:30 a.m., which is, I think, 3 years we did it, first time we had done that, and it's quite interesting. Because it was appropriate for the occasion, and also a little more than we're normally used to doing. And fun, actually. And also on New Year's Eve, and we decided that it would be very appropriate that we should sit, people who were remaining should sit that particular night. And so we got up again at 11 o'clock and did vows, and then sat through 12:15 a.m. and then did some chants. So there were some these minor sort of changes in our practice, just right around the year end. Also, we had a revolving door situation with respect to our personnel. So she would say someone was coming in, someone was leaving. Some of you may know Bernie Burkamp, but he just decided, that he decided on December 8th, which I think is some interest anyway, the actual Buddhist Enlightenment Day, that he would come and stay at Tega Zen Center. And so he came over that particular night, and so he told us all, it was a great thing. So I went out with him afterwards, for some coffee, and I asked him, why did you do this? Why now? And what he said was, among other things, he said that practice, he had been sitting for 7-8 months or so with us, and he was starting for a year of just like studying Buddhism. He said the practice was just so clear, and he could really see in his daily life that it was really making a difference. And he just wanted to come and practice on a daily basis with the rest of the center. So it's a very simple thing, and he moved in on December 31st, December 31st, into my room because I was leaving that night. He was doing this very sort of same thing, choosing to make a very sort of firm and practice, where I was going to do this sort of crazy action, which is, quit my job and come here and sit for 3 months. So when I was leaving for, deciding how I was going to get here, I thought it would be really appropriate, actually, that I would leave and come here New Year's night. So I was going out the door at 11:15, just where everyone else was sitting, and it was raining, and there was some thunder in the background, and there were reports of a sleet coming up, and so I thought that was a really appropriate thing to start off, a long retreat. You got this really crazy weather too. The last thing I wanted to say was that I guess all of you follow great world events. So I'm sure you know that Wayne Gretzky just scored his 50th goal in 39 games. For those of you who don't know, I'm talking about the National Hockey League. And this is a record, 50 goals, 50 games, has stood up for something like 35 years. And it's become a real mark of excellence. In fact, it's more than simply a real mark of excellence. It's become a great barrier, it's almost as a great wall. Many really great players have tried to 50 and 50 over the years, but for whatever reason, they would always fall short. Sometimes they would get 40, 45 goals in 45 games, and then they get nervous, and they would just choke up, and they wouldn't be able to do it. And no one had ever broken that record. And that's as much because of psychological reasons as for the fact that it's a very difficult thing to do. But this kid, he's only 20 years old, it seems didn't know that he wasn't supposed to be able to do this. And he didn't know that it's a great barrier. He just didn't care about that. And also, I'm sure that he has no idea what he's capable of doing. So he just went ahead and did it anyway. And so I thought that in the new year, all of us could just try to do that. I mean, not worry about what we're capable of doing or what we should be able to do, and just go ahead and do it anyway. So, thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be Jerry Yulee from the MTV Zen Center.
When Susie asked me to give a little Dharma talk, my immediate reaction was, I don't want to. How can I get out of it? And about 4 of the people who were going to speak today were up in one room together doing the I don't want to chant. And it just amazes me. Prior to getting up in front of this group, how significant something down, which has nothing to do with what I'm saying now. And Paul had spoken about there was a significant event that took place at the Ontario Zen Center, and last year on New Year's Eve, I spent with friends, and that's when I decided I was going to move to Empty Gate Zen Center and quit my job. And I was panicked over it, and I spent that night really just being a nervous wreck, and left and wound up at the Empty Gate and discovered that it was very silly of me to have ever gotten so nervous to make something. I wanted it to be significant so I could get nervous, and then if I attained this move, it would be, wow, I'm somebody. And so I moved in, and it was no big deal, and people accepted me, and I accepted them, and I found that it was quite easy to feel at home and a member of a family, which was kind of unique. I never thought it was possible to feel family, or possibility of having all of these friends. I'm only supposed to have about 2 or 3 in my life, and that all of these people here I can have a relationship with. And I came back to do Kyolche, another significant event, and I held it in the same way. I'm going to do Kyolche. Getting nervous, can I handle it? And I spent 2 weeks with my friends, who I had been friendly with for maybe 10 years or 15 years, and they don't really ever care what it is that I do. They're my friends. And one of the nice things about spending time with them on New Year's Eve was that what New Year's Eve has become to look like for me, it's very boring. We don't do anything exciting, but we just are with each other in a similar way that I can be with everyone here. And they made it possible for me to not hold Kyolche the way I was holding it and just let go of that, and just attain everyday mind, which as Bobby had mentioned, I want that object, that special object, and it became obvious that it was right in front of my face. And after I had this experience with these friends, it was like, oh, that was a unique experience. That was only with these people. And standing up in front of you, it is very obvious that that isn't a unique experience, and that one of the pleasures that I have of being here is that I'm beginning to stop I don't know how to exactly put this. It's becoming obvious that there is no need to be anything special, and that the opportunity to be with people is available whenever I choose, and the quality of my experience with you is not some magical formula, but just the ability for me to put it all down. And I left a situation of heavy potato rubbing, and it does make it a lot easier. It does make it a lot, it doesn't make it easier, but it definitely gets a lot clearer that we're just all in this together, and it's a delight to be here. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Jim Binger from the Lawrence Choge Zen Group in Kansas.
Jerry mentioned that they don't do anything now special on New Year's Eve, and this year I was here on New Year's Eve, and at midnight we got up and did bows and chanting, and while I was doing the bows I was thinking, wow, is this ever different than what I'm usually doing at New Year's Eve? Usually I'm out stumbling around at some party or something. And I got to thinking about how I've always been trying to have a good time on New Year's Eve. In fact, one of the things I don't like about New Year's Eve are my futile attempts to go out with everybody else. Another thing I never liked about New Year's Eve was the New Year's Eve resolutions.
because it always seemed to me like when I was a kid, I'd make New Year's resolutions, you know, and of course break them the next day. Everybody else I knew did the same thing too. And so it always seemed like a real phony thing to me. And unfortunately for myself and maybe some other people, your practice can go through that same kind of thing. Like you're always waiting for some big significant event like a New Year's Eve, you know, to really get in there and get tough or make a vow to try harder. But if your practice is based on great faith and great effort and great questioning, then after a while you start to realize that it's always right now. Right now is when you have to take that great vow to start trying harder. And you can't wait for some big significant event like Kyoche or the YMJJ that will start next week to start trying harder. And you need to start trying harder right now. So I hope we all take a New Year's Eve vow to try harder right now, to soon get enlightenment and save all people. Thank you.
Now, Will Love, who's the Dogong of the Choge International Zen Center in New York, will give a talk.
In Maryland, we have this saying, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. It's a little bit sometimes how I feel about the New York situation. People ask me often, well, do you still like New York? And I say, yeah, I like New York. And they say, this one guy said, well, I guess everyone has to do a little time in New York City. But whether you like the weather or whether you don't like the weather, if you throw away your likes and you throw away your dislikes, then there's nothing to wait for. I mean, what is there to wait for? And it's like this new year. What are we waiting for? Where is this new year going to? Where are you going to? I don't know about you, but I'm not going anywhere. It's like I'm right here, George is right there, and Link is right there. I'm not there with George. I'm not there with Link. I'm right here. It's like this rug. This rug would say, you know, blue's okay, but I wish I was yellow. I like yellow. Or maybe the rug would think, you know, this floor business is nowhere. I should be up on the ceiling somewhere. So we come to the new year, and everyone wants to look ahead and make their life new again. I think of no better way to do that than to renew our precepts. Somewhere it says you already have the 5 and 10 precepts. In Christianity and in the monastic system, they have four great vows that people make to become a monk. The first 3 are chastity, poverty, and obedience, which are roughly equivalent to precepts, meditation, and wisdom. But one more step is necessary. And in the Christian monastic system, they have one last vow, which is stability, which means a monk says, I'm going to stay right here in this monastery and I will never leave. So he makes this commitment for the rest of his life to stay in one place. And I think Zen practice is a little bit more high class than that. But we make that same vow, which is to be right here, because there's nowhere else to be, and we have no choice. Thank you.
will be given by the head Dharma teacher of the New Haven Zen Center, Steve Cohen.
Anyone who's ever had to prepare a 5-minute Dharma talk will know that there are times when you feel like your mind is kind of blank, groping around for things to say. I think one of the reasons that my mind has been so blank recently is that I lost a friend a couple of days ago who died in an auto accident. I was at a funeral 2 days ago, and yesterday I spent the day with a family, his friend who passed away. I thought of saying something about that and decided that it would be too morose. It'd be kind of sad to say that right now, but I'm trying to think of something else to say. And I decided that I would just sit with this for an hour before this Dharma talk and just try to think of what to say. And a lot of times when I'm giving a Dharma talk, I think of a Zen poem. These are the things that went through my mind. Good and bad have no self-nature. Enlightenment and ignorance are empty names. In front of the door is the land of stillness and light. Spring comes and the grass grows by itself. The great way is not difficult for those who do not make distinctions. Only throw away good and bad, and everything will be perfectly clear. 36,000 years and 100 mornings. Don't you know by now that it is the same old fellow? The man who has come to this is the one who was here from the beginning. He does what he always did. Nothing has changed. And I made up a Dharma talk about each one. And I decided that none of those poems really had anything to do about the years. And I was still thinking about this and thinking how unspontaneous I was being. And when I came upstairs to get my robe on, thinking that I'd have to make a game plan, so I would just say these 4 poems. I thought, well, someone asked me how my children were, and I said, and you know, what was happening. And I started thinking about that. I thought, oh, I'll say something about my children. And all of a sudden, this song that my son has been singing started going around in my mind. And the song is 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, oh my, it's getting late. The second one said, there's witches in the air. And the third one said, but we don't care. The fourth one said, let's run and run and run. The fifth one said, let's have some fun. Who went the wind? Out went the light. And the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. And I was just wishing that it was Halloween. But here it is, New Year's. The wrong scenario is going before my mind. And I guess now that 5 minutes has gone by, that I think what I would like to wish everyone for the new year is the determination to try and be spontaneous. It's awfully hard.
The next talk will be given by the housemaster of the Cambridge Zen Center, Nancy Brown.
Teachers is my grandmother. She's 94. Although that sounds kind of old, she keeps all of us in her family hopping. And last spring, in my first conversation with her after coming coming back from sitting part of Kilche. She said, "So now are you ready to leave that place?" That place in the Zen Center. And she was convinced that if I would only go and do this crazy thing of sitting for day after day, week after week, and saying almost nothing, and just do it over and over again, I'd become really bored with it. She was very surprised that if anything else, was more interested in living in the Zen Center. And I think that's a wonderful thing about this practice, that we can take a world of opposites and through sort of a kind of alchemy, just find clarity and correctness. The opposites of boredom and excitement, old and of new, can just each new year and each new day and each moment, just take them and see what is this, and what am I? Or just say our same old mantra over and over, and just ask, what is this? Then we can help one another, and we can find a clearness. So I hope we all just do it. And happy new clear year. Thank you.
And from the Providence Zen Center, Dharma teacher Merrie, Fraser.
New Year is a time for new beginnings and for starting over. And one of the things that I've learned in this last year is exactly how important it is to start from zero. And you can do almost anything if you just start over. I mean, people you don't like, all of a sudden you like, or you can get along with, and then pretty soon you like them. But you have to learn to start from zero. So, if you take this stick, and that sound. You thought it was going to hit, didn't you? Nobody's starting from zero if you heard that sound. If you can do that, then you can start from zero. Thank you.
Now the formal Dharma speech will be given by Master Dharma teacher Rhodes.
Do you understand New Year's? Do you understand Old Year? Are they the same or different? Ho! Happy New Year, everyone. I have a wonderful opportunity to learn things because I happen to have a daughter who's 2 years old. And Sun often tells us about how important returning to some There's parts of a child mind that are very important. And the other day when New Year's approached, I was taking care of Annie, and my wife was away at work. And I tried to tell her about New Year's. It didn't make any sense to her at all. Except saying Happy New Year was very close to saying Happy Birthday. It's one of her favorite things. She almost every day wishes me Happy Birthday. Which is a very wonderful mind to have. So that was about the only connection I could get her to understand about New Year. So she was quite willing to exchange Happy New Year for Happy Birthday. And that's really very, it struck me as a very interesting thing, because you don't think about those things, but when you see it with a child that clearly, it's also very clear that New Year's is something that we make. There's no reason for New Year's. Every day is Happy Birthday, and every day is Happy New Year. But it isn't for us. And that's something that's very important to recognize. I remember very strongly how important, New Year's was a very important time all the years that I was growing up, because it was a new year. And it was a chance to have a new year. And so that's our thinking, that's our karma and our desires and all that. We need that. And as a matter of fact, it's not just New Year's. We need Buddhas, and we need God, and we need enlightenment. There's all kinds of things like that we need. I don't remember exactly what he said, but Zen Master Taoyi said something like, Buddhas are for sentient beings. Buddhas don't need Buddhas. And we don't need we don't need New Year's, we don't need any of those things if moment after moment after moment we're keeping our correct situation. Sun gave a talk the other night, and it was a very wonderful talk. And he talked about how a lot of us, even if we've been Sun student for a very short time, I had a chance last month to go to a couple of retreats with him and do interviews with him. And even if you've just sat a few retreats and just had a few interviews with him, already he's given you all that you need to have. But we all take years and years and years, and over and over and over again. And what that is we have understanding. It's really kind of funny. He tells everybody, you're too clever. You have to become stupid. And everybody laughs. And I also laughed, because I spent many years being too clever. The Buddha had many students, and a whole bunch of his students got enlightenment during his lifetime. And the last student to have that happen was his student Ananda. And Ananda was the smartest student that he had. Ananda understood all of his Dharma talks. They went to him whenever they had a question about what the Buddha had said and what he'd done, and he had it all. He had this photographic memory. He had it all in there. And he'd tell them, he remembered everything. But it took him a long time to understand what the Buddha was talking about. And because that understanding is not where it's at. It's doing it. And Sun was talking the other day in his Dharma talk, and he said, many people have had many interviews and answered koans, but it has to become yours. It has to become ours. Otherwise, it's just dry cognition or dead speech or just somebody else's understanding. And I remembered when he said that, years ago, I'd been such a student for a few years, and I was living out in Los Angeles, and I went to a bookstore and was browsing through books and magazines, and I came across a magazine article that was an interview with a Zen master in New York, Eido Roshi, and they were interviewing him and asking him all kinds of questions. And they asked him, what he thought of American students and how it was teaching in America. Somewhere in the interview, he got to say that students with PhDs were the worst Zen students. And as a matter of fact, he did not choose to teach anybody with a PhD, told him not to even bother with Zen. And so I read that, and it made me very angry. I decided that I was going to show him. And I didn't understand what he meant by that, and I thought it was a pretty arrogant remark, but I came to understand what he meant. Being clever, all it means is that we have a clever backseat driver. It's hard to understand that, but the cleverer we are, the cleverer our backseat driver is. And so we end up, talking ourselves into all kinds of things. And the cleverer we are, the easier we can do that. And we can even talk ourselves into thinking we're practicing, our practicing is wonderful, and that we're helping a lot of people, and all kinds of things if we're clever. And all that Sun Sneem's talking about being stupid is not ignorance. It's just not paying attention to that clever mind that we have. And he says a lot of things like, don't make anything, and you must believe in yourself 100%. And a lot of things that have helped us all over, a lot of the things that he said have really helped me a lot. But over the years, and now when I think about it, here's this thing, like, don't make anything. That phrase, many, many times, that I've thought of that when I was having a really bad time and making something, and it's really helped me. But it's really stupid. Don't make anything is making something. And everything that Sun Sneem says is like that. If you're making something, if you're attached to something, if you have desires, then you have New Year's, then you have Buddha, then you need this speech, and you can use it. Then use it. It's wonderful. But we also have to throw it away. And something else he says, you must believe in yourself 100%. And that's also a very wonderful speech. But most people, I think, really misunderstand that. They think that I always thought that believing myself 100% meant I should, decide on something and do it. That's what it meant, having that kind of mind. Because people who believe in themselves didn't go around saying, well, should I do this or should I do that? Since he doesn't wake up in the morning and say, well, maybe I should go to the movies today, or maybe I should write letters, or he doesn't seem to have that problem. So, maybe this not having that kind of mind is what it means to believe in yourself. So many of us decide, well, I'm going to decide this and just do it, and that's believing in myself. But that's also thinking, and all our thinking it's all the same boat. Every time we do that, maybe it lasts for a little while. It's just like our New Year's resolutions. It's trying to believe in something, and we have to make this world ours. One of the things that happened to me last winter, I went on a 100-day retreat, and nothing much happened. I was up there and it snowed out and rained out, and chanted and bowed and did the same old things every day. But during that time, all of the stories and the koans that I'd read them and heard them and even answered, given correct answers to some of these stories, over the years. But it was a lot of it was just, giving the correct answer. And I used to go into interviews and somebody would ask me a question and sometimes I'd answer it and he'd ask it me again, 7 years later, and I'd forgotten the answer. And I spent years like that. And the only reason was because it wasn't my life and my understanding. It was only my thinking. And during this retreat, I found myself, talking to myself sometimes, and all of those situations in the koans, like Seung calls master, I used to, call myself sometimes because I was being a jerk. And you find out, that somebody, those little stories, that have been around for 1,000 years are this point, which is this value. They aren't this esoteric, Oriental story that, just kind of cute or interesting, or funny or whatever. They're also our lives. And somebody asked Joji, what is the? He says, I just entered the monastery. Can you teach me? And he said, did you have breakfast? And the guy said, yes. And he said, did you wash your bowl? That's. We all have heard that story many times. And so, you eat breakfast and you wash your bowl, and that was his teaching. That was, all of Buddhism. That was all of enlightenment, and everything that Joju had to say after practicing for, 60-something years in his life. And we all hear it all the time, and it's not ours, because we go down to the kitchen and we sometimes wash our bowls and sometimes we don't. We don't believe that ourselves 100%, that that's all we have to do. And so we try, we sit around and think, and we do retreats, and we wonder when it's going to happen to us, and we hope that maybe New Year's will be a new year, and it'll happen to us this year, or whatever, and or want to live in a new place, or have new friends, or try to practice some more, or whatever it is. And all those are all just, little points that we all have heard and we all try. And being stupid or, believing in yourself is just doing those things and with no expectation that, someone's going to see us do it and think it's a great thing, or that we're going to do it and get something from it or anything. And when all that's gone, then all of the things that we hope our life could be, that it could be simple, that it could be clear, that we could have one mind instead of two or three, and just do what we're doing right now. All those things happen without any effort. And it's really quite amazing that we can be given this teaching, it's like being given to us on a silver platter with a bow around it and everything. In other countries and even places where there's Zen centers, the chances of people go and practice for 10 or 15 years, and maybe they hear a formal Dharma talk by a Zen master once in a while, but they never have the chance of asking questions and being, all the time having the chance to be reminded of what this direction is, and not by speaking. I mean, the reason why we have such a hard time with our thinking is that the speech isn't, our minds, it's in one ear and out the other, or it goes in and it's, goes somewhere, and maybe it comes out a few years later, but that's the nature of our minds, and that's not the most useful thing. And for me, what's helped me the most in practicing, yes, I've heard the Dharma speeches, I've read a little bit about Buddhism and Zen, but what's helped me the most is to see somebody doing it in their life, to see someone who just puts in that effort, and to see what's possible, and to see other people who are doing that. And every time I forget and get lazy or goof off, I see other people who aren't doing that. And we have that teaching of doing it is much more useful than any understanding or thinking or clever. It's much more of value than any of that will ever be. And sure, doesn't mean you have to become a dope. You know, if you're clever, okay, maybe you can use that. You know, maybe you'll remember a lot of wonderful stories and be able to tell them to people to use that. But it's very easy, if you're clever, to have your clever backseat driver convince you how much you understand, or how much you're doing, or how strong you are, or whatever. So we have New Year's, and we have Buddha, we have a Zen master, and we have all these things that we can use. But if we have these things, then we're attached to thinking. And if we don't have these things, what are we doing here today anyway? Today is the first day of the rest of our lives. Thank you all.
Now Zen Master Seung has a surprise for us.
Everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Last year, very complicated poem. Everybody have remember that. But this year, very simple poem. Circle around poem. Okay? Look at this poem, then understand. Okay.
Happy New Year, 1982. Hello, Sahn. How many New Years do you have? Hello, Moon. How many New Years do you have? Hello, Star. How many New Years do you have? Hello, World. How many New Years do you have?
That is like a children's poem. But they have meaning now. How many years this? How many New Years do you have? Sun, ask sun or moon or star world. Everybody understand that? Very difficult. If your children ask you, what can you answer? So I have a problem. Yes. So next.
Hi, dog. Do you have a new year? Hi, cat. Do you have a new year? Hi, tree. Do you have a new year? Hi, sky. Do you have a new year? Do you understand New Year?
It's like children television. Television appear this sun, or dog, or cat, or a tree, or the children ask, do you have a new year? The picture, just this, Dharma, Master Dharma teacher, big ask the end. Do you understand New Year? Same as what is dog's New Year, the cat's New Year, tree's New Year, sky's New Year. So we are more become clearness. What is a new year? Okay. So today, what is a new year? Become clear. Focused. What is a new year? So next.
Sun, moon, stars, and world all have different New Years. Dog, cat, tree, and sky also have different New Years. Some have moment-to-moment New Years. Some have long New Years.
Some have no New Year.
Is that correct? Yeah, this sun or stars, the world, everything they have a New Year, different New Year. Sun New Year, stars New Year, moon New Year, world New Year, all different New Year. Some sun, very far away, very far away. Maybe this New Year, some other sun, okay, not this sun, not our sun, other sun. So different sun, New Year. So this sun also, this sun facing this fast movement. So we don't understand. We don't understand here, but yeah, something something this checking star people understand sun. Also moon or star that all different New Year. Also cat and dog, what they New Year time, they all change this clothes. All hair come up, new hair come. Tree also, tree New Year means now tree now year spring comes, springtime, little pitch appear. That's the tree's New Year. So all different New Year. So if you cut tree over a ring of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 3 years, all have ring. So that's New Year. But it's not this our style New Year. Also, the Oriental people, also the American people, different New Year. You go to Chinatown, not New Year. After 1 month, big New Year. The noon calendar New Year. That time, the Chinese people, the New Year. That's so different New Year. Human beings also different New Year. So some New Year, moment to moment, that means the sun. Sun means moment to moment New Year. So no, every moment to moment New Year. It's like sunlight, sunlight, right? So only this Earth around the sun one time. So we say this maybe 165 times around them, maybe one time New Year appear. But sun is never around them. So this moment to moment New Year. The sun is long, not around this sun, okay? Far away sun. This New Year very long. So, but the sun is no New Year. No New Year. What is no New Year? If you understand no New Year, then understand your true self, okay? If you don't attach name and form, okay, then no New Year. If you attach the name and form, then have New Year. So we have this world, okay, this world, 10 kind of levels, 10 kind of levels. On the bottom, very low class. Very low class is a hair. Okay, hair. This hair is also many kind of hair. This no this window. So no window, only darkness. Darkness, only dark. That's type hair over there picture. Okay, sun kind of soul mountain here. This hair or sun here. This oil, this hair or the ice hair or this fire hair or take out the tongue hair, many kind of hair. Okay, the hair people is a moment to moment. What whole life is a moment to moment. So one day 10,000 die, 10 times alive. Okay, one day 10,000 times alive, 10,000 die, 10,000 die. So this one moment whole life. Then how many New Year there? Many New Year. This so very short life. Very short life is this hair. The next this hungry demon word. Okay, hungry demon little longer. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Very hungry die. I am very hungry die. It's like a mountain. This mountain cannot eat. Very small leg, the stomach is a big mountain. Also, cannot eat, you know. I had this washing bowl, that is Dharma water, okay. Only they drink Dharma water, it's okay. But other kind, cannot eat. So, small things, then this next stop, so cannot drink. So, Sundai, again, alright, Sundai, again. It's a hungry demon, little long. Then, next, this animal. Some animal is long, okay. Elephant or tiger or something that long, maybe 12 years, 30 years or something that. But there's some dog or cat or 10 years, 15 years. More small is a bird, is a 2 year, 1 year. More small animal, this summertime fry animal. This we say, the Oriental said that harusari, one day life. One day life, get married, have a baby, then die. So how many new years they know? Whole life is 1 day, whole life. Name is harusari, you know. That's animal area, animal world. Next is human beings. Human beings, long you are Buddha a lot of time, or more than long, maybe 3,000, 4,000. Human life is 150 or 300 years old. Okay, there's no problem that time. But the little smaller, short. Now maybe 80 years old. Yeah, 80 years old. Maybe 70 years die. Okay, not bad. 70 years not bad. No. When more pass, then this human being life more short. Sutra said 10 years whole life. Then this end of this world. And not this time end of this world. Buddha said human being's life shorter, then 10 years old die. Okay. So before 10 years old, get married, have a baby, then old, become old, die. Then how long, don't understand. From how long? Many kalpas. Many kalpas pass, then human beings, this life is very short. That time, end of this world. Okay. Christian and said, soon end of this world, not this. Not too much long, human beings, too much long life. Still 70 years over 80 years old. So the next is the Ashra. Ashra means it's like a guard army, guard policemen. Okay, guard policemen. They are 1,000 or 2,000 whole life. Okay, whole life 2,000. Then next heaven. Heaven is very long, very long. Heaven, this 300 years. Our 300 years. Oh, no. Our 3 months. Day, 1 day. Okay, 1 day. Heaven's 1 day is our 3 months. So very long. Okay. They are 1 day is our 3 months. 3 months. 3 years. Not 3 months. 3 years. Heaven's 1 day. So they whole life. Then many years. Many generations. Many generations. Then one whole life. That's the heaven. So high class beings, long life. Very low class beings, this hell. This beings very short life. This 10 levels. 10 levels. Oh, between Buddha and next is heaven. Heaven. Then after Arahant, Sadhana. This Arahant, Sadhana is if you practicing Hinayana Buddhism, then you finish this 12 rings, attain that, you get sadhana. Then next is four levels, 4 kinds of suffering and suffering dependent donation and stopping, and pet. These are 4 kinds of what? Noble truths, yeah. 4 kinds of noble truths. You attain that, then adham, sadaham, adham. Then next bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means if you attain Mahayana Buddhism, if you attain Mahayana Buddhism, then you get bodhisattva. That's 3 kinds of levels. Sadaham, anaham, bodhisattva, Buddha. Next Buddha. How to become Buddha? You attain your true self, then become Buddha. Okay, that's Zen mind. So, most low class means low class, hair, hungry girls, then hair, hungry girls, then next is animals, then human beings, then Ashura, then heaven, Adam, Anaham, Sadaham, then next Bodhisattva, next the Buddha. These are 10 levels. 10 levels. So, Buddha has no new year. Okay. So, Buddha has no new year. Don't have no new year, that means Buddha has no new year.
Originally complete stillness. When do sun, moon, stars, and world begin to turn? When do dog, cat, tree, and sky appear? All these new years come from where? Are they the same or different?
Yeah, this world completely stillness. Buddha means attain your true self. Attain your true self, there is no time, no space. Who make time, who make space? You make. So attain your true self, that means Buddha. Buddha means there is no name, no form, no speech, no word. So no new years. So that is we say original the stillness. Then that's the stillness is the original is our true self. That original is the universal substance. Then first begin sun, on the moon, star. This world when does it begin turning? Okay, begin turning. You must understand that. Okay. Also, dog and cat and the tree and the sky, when they appear, complete stillness. This is what the complete stillness. When they appear. Do you understand that? That's a homework. Okay. So this all New York comes from where? Then New York comes from where? Almost understand. Okay. If you attach name and the form, then have problem. If you don't attach name and the form, then this New York comes from where? Then understand. But if you attach that, then some New York longer, some New York is short. So attach short, attach long. So as for this, are they the same or different? Okay.
If you say same, you cannot find your head. If you say different, you lose your body. Why? The stone dog is laughing. Happy New Year, 1982.
Okay. That's the answer, okay. If you say same, you cannot find your head. No head means, if you say means your head, your body, your everything, your mouth, your over the shape place is the same. Buddha and S is the same. So you bring here dropping essence of Buddha. Okay. Buddha and S is the same. So you can drop essence of Buddha. So New Year, Old Year, not different. So your head or your tail is the same. So you cannot find your head. The next, if you say different, yeah, different. New Year different. New Year all different. If you say different, then you attach your name and form. So already you're dead. You're already dead. You have life like that. So lose your body. So why? Why? Why this time? Why? Then what can you do? Why? What can you do? This is your dog's year. Dog. Understand dog year. This year dog year. Last year this chicken year. Okay, chicken year. Dog year. Next year is pig year. So dog year many noisy. Okay. Dog year many desire year. pig ear, many this lazy, you know, pig only eat, sleep, that's a pig ear. So this year, next year, many have a problem, this world. Okay. Begin, you know, last year begin, just begin. This year, then next is the 갑장은, Oriental, 60 years circle, okay, 60 circle. 10 stars, 12 animals, each connect. Then 6 year, one cycle, okay, one cycle. This year, next year, last this changing time. This world, many changing. Then new style appear next year.